It's time for the train wreck so many of you have been waiting for. The worst team for Scarlet and Violet. We're gonna slap together half a dozen awful Pokemon and try our best to craft something that can actually take down the major battles of Paldea's multiple roads to treasure. I feel like today, we've got a very bad team in the style of many worst teams of the past, filled with coverage, classic worst team staples, and even a little rock and roll. So why waste any more time on this intro? Let's not delay the pain anymore. Let's experience the team. Before we get started though, we have a brand new exclusive series over on Mystic Umbreon Shorts. I'm gonna be taking a Pokemon of your guys' choice and seeing how well it performs in a Scarlet and Violet playthrough. Should said Pokemon be on your team? This series will go up once a week every Sunday, so be sure to head over to Mystic Umbreon Shorts to check that out. Also, over on Mystic Reads, I'm reading the Yaju Sanin a Naruto fanfic and Road to be a Pokemon Master Kanto edition, where Ash and Serena have a Kanto adventure together. I will leave links for both of these channels in the description and in the iCard above. We'll get this kicked off with Spidops, which shouldn't surprise anyone. It's the early route bug, and it's obviously a lot worse than Oinkologne. Well, I think it is anyway. But that aside, there is very little that's actually any good about Spidops when you use it in a playthrough. The last thing I think anyone really wants is a duo of high defense stats in their early bug, so that added on to my desire to have Spidops take over as our starter. Your Tarantula will evolve into this stick bug come level 15. And yeah, there isn't much else to say, so let's look at the moves. This set will kick off with Leech Seed, Poison Jab, Brick Break, and Shadow Claw. This is about the best you can do hyper-offensively with Spidops, which honestly isn't that bad among the many different early route bug types we've had over the generations. Leech Life serves as a nice stab move learned via TM, which you can find near the Montanevera gym. Then with Poison Jab, that's another TM you'll be able to craft after beating Atticus, and that'll cost you some Seviper Fang, Marini Spike, and Strudel Ink. You can then find the Brick Break TM in the Asado Desert in North Province Area 1, as well as craft it with Makuhita Sweat, Hawlucha Down, and Crabrawler's Shell. Finally, as is with the last two TMs, you can get the recipe for Shadow Claw after beating Atticus. You'll need Komala Claw and Mimikyu Scrap for that. Alright, so how do we follow up Spidops? Well, with the classic worst team staple, of course. Sunflora hasn't been featured on a worst team since Alola, and that just made me feel so sad, as it doesn't deserve to be left out. So it was the first Pokemon after Spidops that I knew I wanted to feature, since it's actually an oddly relevant Pokemon in these games. So you want to find Sunkern, which can be a little difficult to find oddly enough, and then evolve it with the Sunstone to get Sunflora. I'd say your best place to find one is actually near the very first Pokemon Center you reach in your playthrough. There's some flowers nearby, and Sunkern are known to spawn there. When you get Sunflora, you already know the deal. It's got a nice special attack stat, and awful everything else, especially speed. Well, as if Sunflora being on this team already wasn't surprising, how about we give it a moveset that's got the only 4 really good moves this thing has access to. It's going to be using Petal Dance, Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, and Dazzling Gleam. The access to Petal Dance comes at level 28, a relatively tame level for such a strong move. You can then find the TM for Sludge Bomb in South Province Area 6, as well as have the ability to craft it after you beat Airy, using Grimer Toxin, Krogunk Poison, and Fungus Spores. Then Earth Power serves as actually really good coverage on this flower. You can find that TM at the foot of Glaciado Mountain near North Province Area 1 and in the Asado Desert. Or you can make it with Barboat Slime, Shellos Mucus, and Silicobra Sand, since you'll get that recipe as well after beating Airy. Finally, Dazzling Gleam is going to be given to you for beating Ortega, and that is in fact the only way to get the recipe as well, so prepare to get it then. The next Pokemon on the team is one we also haven't seen in any games in a hot minute. As a matter of fact, it hasn't been catchable prior to a post-game since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, being only available in mass outbreaking swarms in BDSP. It's Grumpig. You can find Spoink bouncing for its life in South Province Area 3, and at level 32 it evolves into Grumpig. So why did I choose Grumpig for this? Well, I don't think it's all that good, quite frankly. It has a decent special attack and speed combo at base 90 and 80, but there's a bit too much thrown in the special defense that could have gone into other spots. Though, I mean, it does have thick fat, so it can wall ice and fire type moves, I guess, but whatever. Let's look at the moveset. Psychic, Chilling Water, Power Gem, and Charge Beam are the moves on our Grumpig, affording it some actual decent coverage. It's kinda weird. The leadoff stab is learned at level 52, or via a TM you're rewarded for knocking out Tulip, which might be the sooner way to go about getting this move. Then, with Chilling Water, that's another move learned via TM, which you'll be given for defeating Kofu for yet another gym badge. The next move up is Power Gem. So, take that, bug types. It'll be learned at level 29, and suddenly, Grumpig won't let the low kicks of the world mess with it. Finally, there's Charge Beam, which you can find in TM form near the Team Star Dark base that Giacomo is at. It's near the Watchtower. Somewhere, a certain someone is smiling about this next Pokemon, being Klefki. I mean, hey, we couldn't put Tinkaton on the worst team, so naturally we're going with the other Still Fairy type, that just so happens to be pretty awful. You can find Klefki jiggling around outside of Alfornada, adding on to the team with a pretty nice defensive typing. Its stats are nothing special, and really its only good aspect truly is its typing, and I suppose access to Prankster, but come on, this is the worst team. I'm not taking advantage of that. But with that, it's on to the moveset, folks. These keys bring out Play Rough, Flash Cannon, Psychic, and Foul Play. The lead off with Play Rough, Klefki will learn at level 40, or found in South Province Area 1 as a TM. The next stab move up is Flash Cannon, learned at level 36, or again via TM you can find in South Province Area 3 near a Pokemon Center. Then, with Psychic, you should be able to just craft one, since you have the recipe after teaching it to Grumpig. You just gotta use Ralt's Dust, Indeedee Fur, and Raylor Mud. Finally, Foul Play is learned at level 48, but who wants to wait for that? Just go beat up Giacomo and get the TM for it. But you know what, guys? Let's take a second to give it up to this set of keys that rocks out as a mixed attacker to the best of its abilities. Way to go, Klefki. So, the next Pokemon on the squad will be Sableye, who is also no stranger to being on a worse team. It's been on so many, I've lost count, and honestly I decided between it and Luvdisc here, and chose for our Sableye guy thanks to the coverage it gets and the fact that Grumpig has a water type move already. So yeah, Luvdisc is really bad, but composition wise I was able to avoid including it on the team today because quite frankly I just didn't want to talk about it again. Anyway, Sableye is available in many different caves among some other areas. It's rather frail and not very speedy, but like I said, it has a better reason of being on the team over Luvdisc. This next moveset will be all 3 Elemental Punches and Shadow Claw. That's right, Sableye is getting the coverage guide treatment, so it won't take us long to plow through this. Though, I mean, when it's been on so many of these worst teams across all the generations, I don't think it's a big deal to give it a little bit of a back seat. The 3 Elemental Punches are all learned via TM, which you can craft after you defeat Atticus and his Team Star Crew. You'll need a bunch of Metatite Sweat for all 3, and then Charcadet Soot, Toxel Sparks, and finally Cubchoo Fur. Then, with Shadow Claw, you'll learn that at level 33, or again via TM that you can craft after beating Atticus, with those Kamala Claws and Mimikyu Scraps. So, you guys have probably been a little disappointed at the lack of Pokemon from Paldea actually on this team. And what I have to say about that is, at the very least, this generation didn't introduce that many bad Pokemon. That's a huge boost for the region, as they introduced way more good than bad, for real. I nailed down Squawkabilly as the final Pokemon on the team, since we could use a little flying type representation. I mentioned that you really shouldn't use this bird in a playthrough, but when you're looking for the worst, it's perfect. Might I suggest the blue or white one? You can find a Squawkabilly in South Area Province 2, but also when you unlock the ability to jump higher on your ride Pokemon, you can actually jump on top of your house and fight a couple Squawkabillies chilling out there. I think that's a pretty fun detail, quite frankly. Okay, today's final moveset on Squawkabilly is Brave Bird, U-Turn, Reversal, and Terra Blast. The first move, being Brave Bird, is learned either at level 42 or via TM you can find near the Gracious Stones in the North Paldean Sea. Then, with U-Turn, you'll learn that via a TM you can make after beating Atticus, using Scyther and Nimbleclaws to make it. Following that move is Reversal, which is learned at level 52. And you can find it in the outside world. It's in East Province Area 2. Finally, we're giving this thing Terra Blast. That's right, you can of course grind to make Squawkabilly have whatever Terra typing you want. But for the time being, it'll be a great normal type stab move. We do big brain things here at Mystic Umbreon. Alright, so I'm gonna rush through the does well against portion of our video, starting with the Titans. You can take on Cloth with Sunflora, the Bombardier with Klefki, the Paradox Pokemon with Grumpig's Chilling Water, or a combo of Sunflora and Squawkabilly, the Orthworm with Sableye's Ice and Fire Punches, as well as Squawkabilly's Reversal, or Spidops' Brick Break. And finally, the Titan Dondozo and Tatsugiri combo with Klefki's Play Rough and Sunflora's Petal Blizzard. The battle with Arven can be dominated with Spidops, Squawkabilly, and I suppose a little bit of Sunflora. Then, when you go through the team star leaders, you can use Spidops' Brick Break against Giacomo, or your Klefki using something else. A nice Chilling Water from Grumpig is perfect to cool down Mela, and then Atticus is bought by your usage of Psychic on both Grumpig and Klefki. When you take on Ortega, you'll probably be able to get by just using your Klefki, but naturally Poison Jab can be your friend there too. And then finally, Airy is going to be harmed big time by Grumpig and its Psychic, as well as Klefki's Play Rough. Then, because this is the worst team, and I want to appease you guys by featuring this battle, although I haven't bothered in the other videos because I just like to focus on the fitting boss battles, I'll go into the Director Clavel battle real quick. You can use Spidops for Oranguru and Abomasnow, and then Sableye's coverage gives it the ability to take on Gyarados, Amoonguss, Poltegeist, and Skeledirge with a bunch of healing items and little support from the rest of the team, leading you to an easy victory. Finally, up against Penny's Evolutions, you can have Spidops take on Umbreon, Leafeon, and Sylveon using its Bug and Poison moves. And then Vaporeon is a victim of Petal Blizzard from Sunflora, and Jolteon is taken down by Earth Power from that very same mon. And finally, Flareon is best left as some Chilling Water from Grumpig. As for your gym battles, Brassius and Katie are both easy for Squawkabilly to take down. Iono can be defeated by using Earth Power on Sunflora if you go out of your way to get your hands on that TM prior to taking her on, but for those not affected by Ground-type moves, you can just brute force things a little with Sableye. Then we'll see Kofu handled relatively easily as well by your Sunflora, with Larry next mostly unprepared for fighting type moves from Spidops and Squawkabilly. Rhyme can be defeated most easily by Sableye and Spidops, just running a duo of Shadow Claws. Your battle against Tulip can also be easily handled by those two Pokemon. And then finally against Grusha, you can pull out Sableye's Fire Punch and Spidops' Brick Break once more to carry you. Against the Elite Four, you have Water and Ice type moves from Grumpig and Sableye to help you take down Rika. Poppy's not a fan of your Sunflora's Earth Power and Spidops' Brick Break, and then a rematch with Larry doesn't go much different for him, as your Thunder Punching Sableye and Power Gem from Grumpig are enough to take him out. Finally, it's a call to Klefki for Hassle's Dragon types, as it needs just a little bit of help from Sableye's Ice Punch to make short work of our art teacher. Then comes the battle with Geeta, which probably shouldn't be as easy as it is for a worse team. The first half of her team is easily handled by Spidops' Bug-type moves, and then her Avalugg and King Gambit are also threatened by Spidops' Brick Break. Why, even when she turns her Glamora into a pure Rock type, it too will be threatened. You won't actually be able to sweep her probably using only Spidops, but it is actually very possible if everything goes right. That's kind of insane. That leads us to Nemona in a friendly champion versus champion battle, which is another quick one. Her Lycanroc and Goodra can be beaten by Klefki, her Dunsparce and Orthworm are manhandled by fighting type moves, and finally Pawmont will get hurt big time by Sunflora's Earth Power, and Meowscarada is yet another easy target for Spidops. Finally, against Turo and Sada, starting with Turo, you're able to just use Sunflora to defeat Iron Moth using Earth Power, Iron Jugulis and Hands are both there for Klefki's Play Rough, and then Iron Bundle and Thorns are defeated by fighting type moves from our Squawker and Spidops. Finally, with Iron Valiant, it might just be easier to Brave Bird it into defeat with Squawkabilly over doing anything else. Then, against Sada's caveman-esque Paradox Mons, you can turn to that same Brave Bird against the Slitherwing and Brute Bonnet, and use Chilling Water from Grumpig against Sandy Shocks. Shadow Claws will help you defeat Screamtail and Fluttermane, and finally against Roaring Moon, you can ask Klefki to use Play Rough like once, and probably defeat it in one shot. Man, it doesn't matter how quickly I try to do this part of the video, there are just so many battles to cover. But other than that, that's it though. That's our worst team for Scarlet and Violet. It's pretty bad, but honestly, when these particular Pokemon come together, they actually aren't too awful at all. So this might be one of the best worst teams we've ever put together. I'm a bit of a fan, honestly. That's it though. That's for the most part the last traditional best team for Scarlet and Violet that I have to put together for now. It's been a fun time, and these certainly won't be the last teams, but I hope you enjoyed them nonetheless. Thanks for watching the video and for coming through and enjoying Scarlet and Violet with me. We've got so much content coming surrounding Gen 9 through the end of the year and beyond, including the top 10 strongest Pokemon, the best team for the games, and much more. If you're interested in more Mystic content, check out my TikTok and Mystic Umbreon Shorts YouTube channel. When we get to 5,000 subs on the channel, we're gonna have a new series related to Scarlet and Violet that will be exclusive to there, so go subscribe. Also, if you're into fanfictions or Genshin Impact, check out Mystic Reads and Tybotchinary. I offer a ton of creative spoken word content over there, and I do a bunch of theories and lore videos surrounding Genshin Impact. So come join me over there at that floats your boat. That's all for now. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time for more Scarlet and Violet content.